Hello, welcome to another tonal landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting I'm bringing you today is called Where Light Gathers. It's a 10 by 14 and I painted this a week before last. You can see I just popped up the palette there with the colors. You can take a little screenshot of that if you want. By the way, that's always in the Substack Studio Pass. Every post I put that in there. So it's there for you. And you can see I'm sharing the palette here. I'm not sharing the reference image because it just didn't look good in the layout. So, but if you were super anxious to see that image, again, Substack Studio Pass, it's right there. And you can enjoy that. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about this painting. I look familiar to you, does it? Well, I did kind of a 6 by 8 version about 2 months ago, something like that. I was really stoked with the way that came out. And this kind of started life as a riff on George Inness. So I've gotten so far away from that I'm not calling it anything of the kind at this time. But he was the initial inspiration, and I will give him his due for that for sure. His didn't have his didn't even resemble this at all, to be honest. But it started life in that way, and it does have a bit of that vibe to it. And really, if you're going after the masters, what you really want is to get their vibe. Now I know vibe is a very popular word these days with all the AI stuff going on, but it's popular for a reason. This is a vibe, everything's a vibe, right? So, the George Inness thing is a definite vibe, and when I am, I've done hundreds of studies after Inness, and the reason always was not to make a copy after a George Inness painting. It was because I wanted to steal George's soul. Yeah. Now I hope you enjoyed this week's easel talk. I was talking about revisiting motifs. I don't know if you are, because I try not to. It's a funny thing being a YouTuber. I'm actually a painter first, a YouTuber second. But yeah, it's a funny thing, right? You want people to look at your content. You want to. Oh, we can see the whole color mixing session here. We'll just leave it in. That's fine. Of course, it'd be real time in the Substack Studio Pass, right? But we can just chat for a minute. Maybe you want to be a YouTuber. A lot of people seem to think that's a great career. Well, first of all, you need to have some real views to make a career of it. And I know a lot of people that started off just kind of doing what I'm doing, just sharing, doing a bit of teaching, just getting stuff out there. That was my whole idea. I thought, well, I want to help promote tonalism, and then after a while, of course, YouTube says, "Hey, you want to sell some ads?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." YouTube does give me a little bit of income, but trust me, if I was relying on that for my subsistence, I would be very hungry. Yeah, and I don't think it's going to get. I don't think it's going to expand. Now, if I wanted to make it expand, I guess I'd have to start angling for views. And what I try to do is always provide value and content. My attitude is that of a curator, and increasingly that curation sort of mindset in this modern age is going to be real critical. So let's talk about the painting. We got our drawing done. Now that was, you can see that board's a bit redder than the usual deep earth tone I've been painting on. The board's been sitting around prepped for a long time, is why. But it did suit the image I was painting and the scene, so it was all good. It worked out good. And it's almost never that I can't sit down and make a painting on a red ground, even a very red ground. Some ground colors might give you a little more trouble. Some people like to work on yellow. I tried it. It might depend on the scene I was painting. I would kind of keep that in my back pocket as an option, but I had a bunch of boards prepped, yellow ochre. I ended up painting them all over with my deep earth tone. Underpainting was done with the burnt umber as per usual, and it ends up looking a little bit redder. I may have even juiced that up with a little bit of rose madder. Yeah, and by the way, if you're trying to follow my old painting videos and the new, there's not a huge difference between rose madder and alizarin crimson. I was sent a tube of rose madder by a supporter of the channel quite a few years back. I'm still using that same tube. I don't use a lot of it, but when I need it, I need it. And the reason I favor it over the alizarin is just a little less of a purple tone. It's got that deep red that I want, and that sometimes is absolutely crucial, but without the added extra purpley bit. So, okay, we're coming in now on this painting. It's a blow by blow. Yeah, with the darks, right? I always do this. I do the drawing, I do the sky, and then when it comes time to do the lands. Now, one of the things I was determined to do was not get too outliney. We all know Uncle Mike likes to do that. There are some very thin outlines, but I didn't get carried away. And I will say these trees ended up a little thinner than in the 6x8 iteration of this scene. There was actually quite a few changes that went on from that iteration. I kept working on the reference image. And I think, I've been talking about reference images for a long time because I do think it's one of the major advantages that we have over the guys from the past. They would have loved to have had reference to paint from. And to me, the more imagination and inspiration that you can inject into that reference image, it's obvious that that's the better your painting's going to be. There's no question about it. So I try to really make the reference images something special. That said, I don't ever intend for them to stand on their own as a work of art. Some of them could do. I was working from one today. We got an ad for the book coming up. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I was working on one today that had a beautiful reference image. My book. We just shipped a book. First fresh order since the whole New Zealand postal. We don't know what to do with the U.S. thing transpired, which pretty much meant I didn't send out much in September, but that's okay. I can ship them to you now, and it's going to get to you wherever you are on the planet. $65 U.S. International shipping is included, and I do that just to keep things simple for you, so you know that's your whole hit that's going to get you there. And I've had nothing but great comments about the book. People love it, and I'm working on another book. I've been talking about it. I'm in the process of doing the layout for the print version. All the books have been written, all 4 volumes. My editor is still working her way through. She's working her way through volume 4 right now, and then we'll actually go into volume 1. So sometime in the new year, I suspect that is when I'll be selling those. But it's an ongoing project, and unlike the book that I sell now, that was designed to be kind of a how-to painting book. The book I'm working on is the total deep dive into landscape painting. I try to any single aspect of landscape painting that I could think of. I wrote a chapter about, and the chapters aren't hugely long because I tried to say everything that I had to say and no more and no less. Yeah. And many of those chapters were based on old blog posts from years ago, or little nuggets from these videos, you know. So yeah, you can wait for that. I know some people are, and that's encouraging. It keeps me going. I'm going to keep going on it. I'm going to make it happen. Okay, so we did the darks. Now we're coming in. We did the one of the things you saw me. Well, yeah, you probably were just listening to me burble on here, but we did mix a dark tone, and we mixed a dark green, and sometimes I'll push a little extra red into that. I want there to be a bit of a spread and separation between that the darkest darks in the painting and the dark green. So many times I'll have to adjust a little bit to get that handled. But from there, of course, we're sailing into the other greens, and we're leaving a lot of red peeking through. Um, and obviously, we're going to come in with some red as well. Yeah. Now, I may even use. I'm very pleased with this painting, and one of the reasons that you see me do quite a few of this kind of format is I may use this for the cover of a book. I I've done maybe 6, 7 paintings that could be for covers, and ended up eliminating some of them. They're good paintings, but maybe not. Didn't come out as good as I would have liked for the cover of a book. You know, you don't want to have any qualms or quandaries about that. Oh, it's starting to rain. Okay. Let me see if I can toss some other. Okay, so one of the things here, I want to try and lay some helpful tips on you. Now, you know, and I know that the hardest thing to paint is a bunch of leaves over the sky. Okay. Um, and I've been doing a pretty good job for a long time with that. And my strategy has mostly been to kind of obviously design the shapes that are going to be the foliage over the sky, and basically paint them in colors that are appropriate. But these days, I leave off on that. That designing stage would usually be done in my drawing stage. But you can see what I've done here. I leave things kind of loose and amorphous, and I've had way better results with that. So just putting in patches of color, and of course, talking a bit about brush technique. I do like to lean into the side of the brush quite a lot. Um, I have a lot of different little brush techniques I've done, and that'll obviously, I've got a whole chapter in a new book about that, and I did address it in the current book I sell as well. But what I will say about brush handling is that you should try different things all the time, especially if you're starting out. Don't settle into anything 100% when you're starting out. Try holding the brush a bunch of different ways and observe the different sorts of effects you get. And to the degree, it might even be, if you have a real problem with this, with forgetting to change it up, set a little like a cooking timer or something in your studio environment there. Maybe you don't want to be annoying, but maybe every 10 minutes or so it goes off to remind you that try holding that brush a different way. And by that, you can see what I'm doing there. I'm holding the brush way at the end of the ferrule, because that's the best way to hold the brush for that sort of effect. And to do this little bark effects I'm painting now, you can see I have a certain way of holding the brush. And what I was after with those tree trunks was an organic, barkish type of feel. But what I never really want to do is start getting really deep into trying to figure out each little specific detail. I don't think that looks good. It looks too tight and defeats the purpose. So now there is a place for that, and it's called drawing and pen and ink. And that's where I would, and I totally would encourage you to do that. Do drawings of the landscape as well as paintings. I've done quite a few in my day. These days, most of my drawing of landscapes is going to be done as the underpainting stage. I really don't see the point. I had about 6, 7 years ago laid out did some sketches for some etchings, and then I thought, I don't want to mess with this. What do I need to do this for? I could make a painting. I think etchings made a ton of sense when they were the only means of reproducing your pen and ink work. You know, that made a lot of sense then. And obviously, if it excites you and you're doing good work, I'm not dissing doing etchings. In fact, I love etchings. That's one of the reasons I was considering doing some. But ultimately, why would I limit myself like that? I just I don't feel the need. I want to be able to have color. I want to be able to fully express my vision for the scene. And you could argue, well, how come you're doing the sepia? What's the difference? Well, that's designed to be sepia, isn't it? And if I was to do etchings, they would be definitely embracing the etching process. I would do them in a way that was taking full advantage of all the things that etchings can bring to bear that other processes are maybe not as good at. So hopefully you checked out the last Eagle Talk. The one I'm going to be doing this week coming up is going to be about glowing color. I'm gonna be, and this painting this week has some pretty good glowing color. So tune in for that. It'll be my Friday or Thursday. Sorry it was a little early this week. We had our daylight savings time here, but until I come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do us solid. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble and fight the power.